Now, from the Signature Bank Studios. This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. IRS data. We mentioned a bit earlier in the week, but let's revisit. IRS has released new data on interstate migration. For households with incomes over $200,000, the best in-migration state is?
Tennessee.
No, but that's
Texas.
top five. That's top five.
Florida,
That's number
Florida,
five.
what am I saying?
Texas is number like 11.
Oh,
What was the third one? Guess?
Florida.
That's it. The top state for in-migration of household incomes north of 200 grand, Florida.
Yeah.
The worst state?
Mississippi. Arkansas.
Mm-hmm.
Am I close?
Arkansas is in the top 20.
Oh.
Arkansas is on the come. No? Keep guessing. See,
I don't want to insult any more people than I already just
think about
did.
worst governed states in the country.
Illinois.
Yeah, there it is.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bing, bing, bing.
Not far behind. The bringing up the rear: Illinois, California, D.C., and New York in that order. If you consider D.C. a state, which I don't. But anyway, that's the good news. So Illinois, I think I'm putting a negative spin on it when I should be putting a positive spin on it.
Yes.
I'm happy to report that Illinois is number one in pushing the fat cats not paying their fair share out of this state. All right. Congratulations, Illinois political ruling class. Congratulations, suburban automatons with your pea hats firmly affixed as you watch your neighbors leave Illinois because shame on them for not paying their fair share. Those fat cats. Isn't that good news? And all we need to do now to keep things afloat here is continue to provide, like $500 million in subsidies to Chinese communist-backed energy battery plants to locate here, and then we're good.
It's going to make everything better, Dan, don't you know?
For more on this, is it fair to say? Cold Civil War? Just migration. Nobody's fighting. They're just leaving. They're leaving for the Southwest, and they're leaving for the Southeast, and they're leaving the Northeast, and they're leaving the Midwest. More on this. We're pleased to be joined by Christopher Whalen, investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Ford Men from Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor of the Institutional Risk Analyst. Chris, thanks for being with us.
Good morning, Dan. Good morning, Amy.
Morning. Congratulations to you two. Not number one, but number 3 in getting rid of those fat cats that are a weight on places like Illinois and New York.
Yes. Well, we're not doing quite as good a job as Illinois, but we're going to try harder.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
And the trajectory of those states, refresh our recollection. Some people are a little bit confused here because we hear from the political leaders, as I'm sure you do, that Illinois is open for business and Illinois is vibrant. We're not losing population. Businesses come and go. People come and go. It's not a big deal.
No, it's a long-term problem. Although it's interesting, Jonathan Miller, the great appraisal czar here in New York, indicated that the migration from New York has been slowing. We've gotten rid of so many people with money that we're starting to run out of possibilities. So that, I think it does come and it goes. There are a lot of people who move to Florida for tax purposes and then still end up spending an awful lot of time up here in New York, particularly in the summertime.
Well, that's true. That's the same way in Chicago, but that's not. But that's so it doesn't have 100% impact in terms of the overall migration numbers. But 60 or 70% impact is still real impact.
Yeah, but if you are big enough, they'll charge you by the day. New Jersey, New York, Massachusetts, they all charge by the day. So it depends how big you are.
Speaking of macro, I don't know if you follow this guy on Twitter, Triple Net Investor. It's kind of interesting. You would be more attuned to some of his posts than I. But anyway, he was talking about Big Lots, which is a huge retailer. He writes, so this is one of the most stunning collapses from an established retailer. Big Lots has gone from $70 plus a share to $1 in near bankruptcy, to $1 in near bankruptcy. Unfortunately, retail is in for a rude awakening. There will be a massive wave of retail companies and restaurants that crumble over the next 12 months. Are we looking at, a significant decline in the vitality of the retail sector?
Well, one of the interesting things about inflation is that the businesses and consumers will adjust initially, but then what you find is that businesses get to the point where they either, feel or they are in fact unable to raise prices anymore. Restaurants, for example, you see this a lot in New York City, and so they close. They just can't make the numbers work. Now, a lot of restaurants in New York, especially the high-end eateries, tend to be subsidized by aspiring investors and the wealthy who just want to have this restaurant. You see the same psychosis in the wine industry. Probably 98% of vineyards in the United States don't make money. But, they do it anyway. So I think you do see the stress of inflation slowly.
I'm hearing the stress in your dog's bark. Yeah.
Stop
Yeah, I don't know.
Are you not giving them the good dog food anymore? Is that it? Because of the inflation?
No. My dogs are very verbose, and they have prejudices against certain dogs in the neighborhood that are troubling. But you know what? It's like they know either they like you or they don't. And if they don't like you, they're going to bark. I mean, I'll give you an example. We have two sets of corgis. One pair is perfectly wonderful. We have them over for play dates all the time. The other pair of corgis, no.
But you love them equally, I presume.
We do, as long as they don't bite you. Corgis are tough. They're like dragons. You got to be very careful with corgis.
Well, they're fiercely protective, and they normally choose just one master, so to
Well,
speak. So are you the one in the house?
We have two Westies, but the corgis have big heads. You don't see big dogs messing with corgis.
Speaking of masters, Jay Powell, master of the Fed.
Yes.
We held interest rates, but we're excited about a September rate cut and happy days being here again. Not that they haven't been pretty happy regardless with respect to where the markets are.
Well, America has largely given up on free markets. That's really the message of the Biden administration. I'm in the middle of re-editing my first book, Inflated, which hopefully will be re-released next year. And I had to add a chapter for what's happened over the last 15 years. And you can imagine what a horror show that is. So, we're doing Ben Bernanke and Janet Yellen. Janet, by the way, is buying back a lot of the low coupon securities that they issued during COVID in 2020-21 and giving people current coupon treasury bills, an admission that the previous policy was a disaster. But, the thing about Biden, it wasn't just him giving away money with student loans and loan forgiveness and everything else. It was just a catastrophic expansion of the administrative state, the Treasury, all of the pieces that are really government only. And so now the private sector is being slowly crowded out by the federal government. It's what everybody always feared. You remember when the Keynesians said, we don't have to worry about crowding out. We can just issue as much debt as we want to. And this was the precursor of modern monetary theory, of course. Give the money away, right? We'll just create money out of thin air. So, here we are. On the one hand, we have Kamala Harris, the crony capitalist queen that I wrote about for American Conservative a few years ago. And then Donald Trump, who I love as a politician, but I think, he needs to realize that he's going to run into a brick wall with the Treasury if he's fortunate enough to win. So we're going to have to talk about money next year. Fiscal and spending is going to be top of the agenda.
And so run into a brick wall with the Treasury if he wins next year, talking about Trump. So elaborate on what the options what are the options he'll face as president?
Well, Chair Powell, on his way out the door, will start to cut interest rates. So short-term interest rates will fall. Good. The street, a lot of businesses need a little relief in terms of what they need to pay to do stuff, right? Make stuff. The long end of the yield curve, however, may go up. And this will be a new phenomenon compared to the last 20, 30 years, when the Fed has been able to push all interest rates down on command, right? If that occurs, then Treasury is going to be in a bit of a fix because they have funded most of the deficit short term, that is to say 1-year T-bills. But we do need to start issuing longer-term debt, or this is not going to work. And if you push long-term interest rates up, it is going to have implications for growth. So I know everybody in the Republican Party loves to cut taxes, but I look at them all and just say, guys, got to get serious at some point. We've got to raise some revenue here somewhere. The only way we can make this country work. So we've got to reduce government, and we've got to figure out other ways to pay for the government that we do want.
Chris Whalen is investment banker, chairman of Whalen Global Advisors, author of Ford Men From Inspiration to Enterprise, and editor for the Institutional Risk Analysts. Chris, thank you as always.
Have a great day.
Thanks, you too. And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
As everyone can tell, we're living in turbulent times.